In this episode, John doesn't get caught with his pants down, but he does get caught with his fly down. We ride with Mexico's national gigolo, and we're afraid of trees. And I'm not sure if there even is a context to make this one make sense, but we'll get there. Thank you for coming back from our replay reviews. My name is Leah.
And my name is Kathy.
We are two friends who are here to replay, review, and analyze your favorite video games. And since Kathy has never seen the games before, it helps me view them through her fresh eyes, almost like I'm discovering them again for the first time.
We hope it'll be a similar experience for you.
John travels to Abraham's camp, where Abraham asks him to help with a robbery. How are we feeling about Abraham at this point? He says about all that he's doing, "I do it for my people." And John's response is a very sarcastic,
"Well, exactly."
I did not expect to see this coming. I didn't think that Reyes would be someone with a god complex, and now I really don't like Reyes. He says he knows the people and he knows the land and he knows he can make it better after saying that he was sent for the people and the people was sent for him. That just rubbed me the wrong way, and it's only going to get worse. And
oh, it's going to get worse already.
Right? And already we're like, dude, did you already forget about Louisa? Because she disappeared.
No, it's true. She talked him up so good that we were expecting this, savior, but not the kind that thinks he is a savior, you know?
Yeah.
And so far he's turned out to just be shit. So they leave Abraham's camp and ride to Chuparosa again, where the robbery will take place. But on the way there, John grills him about the information he's after, and Reyes assures him that he's got his best men on it.
John isn't being as aggressive as he should be, saying that, no, I'm not playing this game where I help you and then you're just going to tell me a new lead. He knows that John needs help, and I get he's probably taking advantage of him, but they make it sound like they're best buds, yet he's not helping him, and I think I'm frustrated seeing John be used again.
It is frustrating, but from Abraham's perspective, he's still trying to figure John out a bit because he's been, hopping the fence, playing on both sides up until now. And I think we see that when he starts to question John about his past. And this is when he talks about his old gang. And Dutch specifically.
He kind of saved us.
And turn you into criminals.
Dutch didn't see us that way. We robbed banks, stole from the rich, and we gave the money to people who needed it more.
So, hearing Dutch, it makes him sound like he's Robin Hood, but I don't think he truly is, again, because we know that John was left for dead, and if he really is for the group, he would have saved John. Dutch reminds me of Kazama in a way where he's just a strategic person, and he plays people so well that they don't know they're getting played. And for listeners who are joining us just now, Kazama is a character from our Yakuza series where we really hate that man, so...
We do. We're in Chuparosa again to do a train mission again. John hijacks the train that's full of army supplies. Shooting. We get to our destination. Abraham says, "Hey, steal whatever you want from the armored car." So we plant dynamite, as you do, on the lid.
Didn't you die multiple times?
Okay, so once I did. At least at this part from the dynamite. So I went down the ladder, right? And I thought, surely this is far enough, because remember when we dynamited the jail cell with Louisa in it? So I figured, this should be a safe distance. It was not. And speaking of, though, there's an army soldier guy inside the car, and he died. So I'm really just kind of wondering. I think Landon Ricketts really almost killed Louisa. Anything else from the train mission? Not very exciting.
No, just a lot of... And you had to use the gun that you hated?
Oh, I hate Gatling gun missions. I hate them. I don't know what's worse, that or the cows, honestly.
Imagine if you had used a Gatling gun on the cows.
See, that I'd be okay with. That is what I need. So sometime after this mission, During his travels, John pulls over for a bathroom break, and he gets jumped. But thankfully, they're Luisa's men. They take him to her. She tells him that the army murdered her father, and goes on to say that Reyes has requested John help stop some military reinforcements that are on their way to Escalera.
I can't believe Reyes remembered her and knows how to reach out to her.
Selective memory.
He probably called her Laura, too.
Mm-hmm. It's to the point where she probably is not sure what her real name actually is.
This poor gal got gaslighted so hard she forgot her own name. Anyways, this is the part where John finally gets a backbone and prioritizes his own problems himself and tries to talk sense to Luisa. He still helps her out, but still, John has a backbone.
I agree. I think that last mission was kind of the final straw, and he's tired of this. But I do think he helps Luisa this time, simply out of the goodness of his heart, and not for anything else. That's sort of the turning point with his character. We see the reasons for him doing things changing. He's becoming more invested in the people here, I think. Especially Luisa, after seeing Reyes. So yeah, John helps. They set their explosive trap and wait for the convoy to arrive and kill them all. And that's pretty much it.
Also, I think this is also the start of seeing John's sarcasm. I had a quote saying that Luisa going, "Be honest with yourself and you'll be free." And then John's like, "I must be doing it wrong." But we start to see his sarcastic self, and I like it so much better.
I think it's an indication that his patience is running out, which is what we've been waiting for. And I kind of like that it's manifesting in sarcasm. Because we get a lot of great lines out of it.
And to add on to our whole conversation about how unoriginal the writers are with making names, John's son is Jack.
Yeah. And I've maybe even heard that that's like his nickname and he's John Jr. I don't know if that's confirmed. So maybe even less original than we thought. Okay. John spots a camp while riding and finds the strange man again. Do we need to listen to the audio this time? Or did you take substantial notes?
Let's play the audio. I didn't write the notes, but
okay. It's been a while, too.
Yeah.
Welcome to Nuevo Paraiso, John.
Where do I know you from?
You're famous, John. You're the man who shot a bunch of banditos as soon as he turned up in this country. You're a man who decided right and wrong. Between a man and death. Between a man and his wife.
And who are you?
You know, I admire you, John. I hope my boy turns out just like you.
For your sake, I hope he don't.
You kill people so easily, yet you respect the vows of marriage. That's very curious.
I'll let the appropriate authorities judge my morality, friend.
Yes, you will. And they shall. Anyway, I hear that an old nun is traveling from the monastery, taking the money she raised at the bank. Why don't you head up there and see if you can lend her a hand? Road's full of thieves. Either that or rob her yourself. I'll see you around, John.
So, is he following John around? And why is he so into John?
I don't know. He seems to just pop up where John is. He seems to know everything about him. Maybe we'll come back to some of these lines in the summary. But are there any lines that you want to discuss now?
Not now, but I'm just curious about the nuns. How does he know all this, and why is he bringing it to John is my main question.
And this is one reason I lean towards him being something supernatural. He knows about what people are doing. And in this case, he gives John another test. The first time it was stop or encourage man from cheating. This time it's help or rob a nun.
What happens if you don't do them, or like you don't do it to what the guy was expecting you to do?
I would guess not a whole lot changes. I don't think I've seen it, but I would guess it's more just some dialogue would change. Because in this instance, he says, "You kill people so easily, yet you respect the vows of marriage. That's very curious." So he would maybe not say something like that. John decides to make a donation to the nun, and they have a nice little chat. Any reactions on their discussion?
I inhaled wrong. Ugh. I'm starting to I'm starting to worry about what's going to happen to John because we know he wants to go back home and just live a quiet life. We hear statements from him talking with Bonnie that, okay, I'm going to go buy some cow from you. I'm going to live a good life. But then we start to hear Louisa being like, be free. And now we hear her just kind of giving life advice. And it makes me feel like he's getting all this advice and he's getting pumped and hyped to go home only for him to either die or go home to his wife and kid being dead.
What's the difference between those?
I mean, one is he dies but his wife and kids are okay, or he's alive and his wife and kids are dead, so he's just miserable.
They're dead. I see. Yeah. It seems like the overarching theme is he's trying, but he just can't outrun his past. So John then rides to check in with Louisa. She tells him DeSanta is overseeing a massacre at El Sepulcro, a graveyard. John heads out to help stop and kill him, as Louisa requests. This may be the first time he hasn't hesitated to help someone at all, probably because DeSanta betrayed him.
Mm-hmm.
And my question to you, though, is that good or bad? Does this point to a flaw in his morals that he wants revenge? Isn't this the sort of thing he's trying to avoid?
I thought so, but then also coming right off of that nun scene, maybe it just gave John the inspiration to like just do whatever you need to do, get it done, help the people, and just get out of here.
So they get there, and during the shootout, John chases down and captures a fleeing DeSanta. With the battle over, John beats the information out of him. He tells him that Javier is holed up at Casa MacDougal, where we've been multiple times. And then some of the rebels say, "Can we kill this piece of shit now, or would you like the pleasure yourself?" I have a feeling you're going to have a reaction to my decision.
I thought this is where you told me that, hey, you're going to like this scene. And then immediately cuts to DeSanta shooting a man who's digging his own grave, apparently. And that was not what I was expecting. And then when you say, like, I like the scene, I'm thinking, like, DeSanta finally gets what he deserves. But it's like, no.
The timing could not have worked out better. The scene is actively rolling, and I'm like, you're gonna love this. And immediately it cuts to him just shooting a guy, just execution square in the head. And I was like, oh, not that, in a minute.
Yeah, you're trying to clarify. And I knew what you're trying to tell me, but that was not what I was expecting.
Oh, that was funny. I expected you to have a problem with me not killing him myself.
I'm okay with it. I feel like
Okay.
other people wanted to kill DeSanta more than John. They probably had more background, like a DeSanta personally burned their own families alive or something. I'm okay with that one. I think he needs to kill everyone else by himself. Like Bill, the big players, right?
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to kill him. It just felt wrong, though, for a couple of reasons. John is supposed to be trying to be a non-outlaw, but also because it felt like an insult to DeSanta to just not care about him enough to have to be the one to kill him. So just spitting on him and walking away, that just, I don't know, that felt way better for some reason.
And DeSanta knows that he isn't worth anything because John doesn't care about him, and instead he's getting killed by people who truly hate him much more.
Mm-hmm. All in all, satisfying death here. But I think that means it's time for a so long. I think this is going to be an easy one.
Straight up mother.
Absolute mother. This guy is just a poop stain in John's existence. Did he do anything good at all, ever?
No, he's a coward, and he's probably a rapist, and he deserves to die.
He's terrible. He tried to kill John. No redemption for you, DeSanta. You're a mother through and through. So after that, they ride to go find Javier, And he's not there. Big surprise. It's a trap.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts?
I like how it's a woman who tells John, "You're stupid for believing Santa." And she definitely has a point, because John should know better than to believe anything coming out of his mouth.
It makes me glad that I didn't kill him, though, because then at least it looks a little less like he pulled one over on John.
Mm-hmm.
John then rides to Reyes, who is occupied.
That's saying it really graciously.
I had to relearn how to blur in the editing software for this.
Yeah.
And some of it I just straight up cut out.
There's already enough noise to hint. Like, it didn't need to have that scene. It could just be noise and John's standing outside the bedroom.
Yeah, I reduced the audio and some of it too.
I really wish John would scold him some more so he could stick up for Louisa, because I feel like we have a friendship between John and Louisa, and so...
Oh, I thought he did. That's my note, is John defending Luisa's honor is adorable.
I wanted more, though. I wanted him to just, like, throw a punch at Reyes or something. You know what I mean? I wanted it to get physical, and he just be like, "You suck, Reyes. Luisa's too good for you."
Sure. I think he does a good job of... He stays out of it, but stays in it, in a way, if that makes sense. Like, he's trying to stay on the fence with everything, but it seems that when it comes to Louisa, he steps over the fence a bit more, helping her when he doesn't have to, and lecturing Reyes about this. But when John brings her up, he says, "Who?"
I was not expecting Reyes to, like, yeah, we got red flags, but I was not expecting it to turn to be like this. It's so disrespectful, and I hate him, and I didn't expect to have this feeling towards him.
I hate him, but it also makes sense that they made both sides, the rebels and the military,
Bad.
just bad. After all this excitement, the two of them leave to go find Bill and Javier. Reyes says that they paid Allende to hide them, and they ride out.
Yeah, and then we get some more sass from John. He was also talking to Reyes that you can't remember the name of the woman you're marrying, and then immediately, kind of like a national gigolo.
A man like me cannot be with just one woman. It would be an injustice to the people I have devoted my life to serve.
You have an interesting way of serving the people. Kind of like a national gigolo.
Amazing, John.
John's great.
Amazing. So they get to the fort, but they have to bust through the gate. And to do so, they just stick John on a wagon full of dynamite.
John is literally submerged in dynamite, and then John goes like, "So when do we light it?" I think, is that what he says?
Well, first he goes, "What? That sounds crazy." And then something like, "How long's the fuse?" And he just goes, "Long enough," and lights it. John's like, "Oh shit, I gotta go."
I mean, I'm already wrong enough about Reyes that anything goes, but I didn't think Reyes would be like that crazy too.
I don't think he cares about John anymore at this point. So you have to jump off the wagon before it gets too close, and John just lands under the wagon and gets dragged for a little bit, and it's hilarious.
Did you die that time, or was it time before?
No, but the same thing happened on my previous attempt, and he got stuck under it, and so then it exploded, and he was right there. He did not survive. The attack of the fort is underway, and John searches for Javier, eventually finding him.
I'm glad John isn't going to be like, "Let's throw down our knives and guns and let's just do a fair fist fight," because I hate that stuff in movies. And I like how John is just pure aggression at this point.
But he's matter-of-fact about it. He says, "I ain't the judge, but as it turns out, it's you or me." He's just here to do what he has to do. But Javier does try to appeal to him, saying that they didn't intentionally leave him years ago. They just thought he was dead.
Okay, people need to stop gaslighting John.
Do we need to talk about the way he jumps out the window?
Yeah, that's... I was going to bring that up. What? It's so funny, and I'm mad that John didn't see that coming. But at the same time, I'm kind of glad he didn't see it coming, because that means we could see Escuela jump like that.
He gets the drop on John by just pushing a crate onto him and uses these split seconds to hop out the window like a stupid little acrobat. I have to appreciate, though, that this game lets you jump out the window after him. There's so many games that would have made you run all the way around out through the doors. So a chase begins. John eventually catches up to him, and he's still trying to appeal to him, bringing Abigail into it. And John says, Abigail would have killed you already.
John has no patience left.
John gets him back to the fort, locks him in a cell. They talk some more. Javier's getting a little more bitchy. And John says,
You know, that life we lived is over. And when we was living it, it didn't mean nothing anyway. It was just an excuse, and we all knew.
I find this to be a very fascinating line, because just a little bit ago we heard him describing to Reyes that basically they were doing good in their own messed up kind of way, but now he's kind of admitting he still knew it was wrong. And that's the first time I feel like we've seen him fully admit that. Okay, so reinforcements arrive, and they're like, get to the cannon. And, I turned the radar off, so I'm like, what cannon? I went to an occupied cannon.
Just hovering behind someone.
Just
like
popped
your
up the ladder. Oh, there's someone there. Slide back down. So by the time I get to a free cannon, the battle's almost already over. But John delivers Javier to the Pinkertons. They tell John to bring in Williamson and then head to Blackwater because they suspect Dutch is in the area.
And I also don't like how they threaten John with saying his wife's name. It makes me feel like she's not alive, like they killed her already.
Yeah, they're very smug about it. I don't know what the right word is.
Like, at this point, I don't know if they're alive or not.
This is the first time we've seen them since the start of the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does this exchange give you a little more reasoning as to why John has sort of just been going along with things? We can see now the kind of threats that he's been hearing.
Mm-hmm. Definitely I can see where John's coming from. I'm just mad at everyone for treating John like this. And I get he was a criminal, but how much does he need to do in order to repay his sins?
John rides to Escalera, where the rebels have launched an attack and the city is in chaos. Reyes has been captured and is being beaten. John tries to get the soldiers to let him go, but Luisa runs at them with a knife, and they shoot her, which leads to John shooting the soldiers. Luisa.
Honey.
A knife?
What are you going to do with that? And earlier in this game, they're just praising how brave she is and smart and just how great she is. And I'm like, you're praising someone who's so dumb bringing a knife to a gunfight.
I'm in shock that she thought this was a good idea. But it's an excellent example of Abraham's persuasion over people.
Mm-hmm.
His leadership, as much of it was, I think a lot of it was bullshit, but he's still good at playing the part to the point where Luisa is willing to just run at soldiers with a knife and get shot and killed for him.
I'm so mad. There's multiple things. First, I don't think Luisa deserved to die. But moving on, the fact that Reyes doesn't even spare her a glance, continues to forget her name. I was excited when Reyes was caught before the scene, but I'm frustrated with how the scene turned out.
100%. Should we do a so long for Luisa?
Yeah.
This one's hard for me because she's young and naive. She's not a bad person, so I don't want to say she's a mother. But I also do think that she kind of did a lot of this to herself.
She had a lot of blinders. That was my struggle is I kind of want to make an exception for this one. I'm feeling very neutral, but I think a better conversation is about her character arc, and that may help me think about if I want to put her in the mother respecter or neutral category. My problem with this is that they made her into a character that's shallow and overly patriotic for their country. She's all about like, I weep for my country, and she's just believing what Reyes is telling her. So she's very pro Reyes. And Homegirl needs to calm down with just her enthusiasm with everything between like honoring her dad and her love for her country and not forgiving John for helping the enemy, but then still needing John's help.
I think it's very purposeful the way she's written. She's loyal to a fault, and she gives everything to her cause, but she does it in a way where she is brave, and she seems like, you know, kind of powerful in a way. She's leading her small little group of rebels. So I think that they do a lot in writing her character to make her formidable, I guess. But all of this still led to her death, and I think it's an example of how being like that can still be a shortcoming. And it might even be why John cares about her so much, because maybe that's how he was for a long time with Dutch in the gang. I think her character is not shallow. I think it's just tragic. Because she was cool, she was not afraid. She's young and leading men, but she still died for an idiot. Because at the end of the day, she was blinded. Anyway, final consensus on Louisa. She's not a mother.
I want to give her just a tad bit into mother respecter category, but still close to neutral.
She's encouraging people to follow a leader who they believe is best for them, but she's not asking the questions she needs to ask to make sure she's leading people into the right situation. Because we know from John's perspective, Reyes doesn't really give a shit about these people. And so I think it's that fact that kind of pushes it out of the mother respecter and into the mother neutral, that she's just so blind that it's leading other people into harmful situations.
Yeah.
John helps Reyes and the rebels take over Escalera. As they are breaking the doors down to Allende's mansion, we see Bill is with him, and they're fleeing the mansion, talking about taking Allende's stagecoach.
They called John a traitor, and I feel like that's such a hypocrite when he shot John. I don't know if he shot, but he saw John get shot twice and left him to die both times.
Come on. So yeah, they do catch up to the stagecoach. Allende thinks that he can get out of this by just tossing Bill out of the, the stagecoach. He says, "Take him, just let me live." I think we all know Reyes is not going to go for that. So he hesitates a little bit in killing him, giving John and Bill some time to chat. This is going to be something different than what we just heard Javier say. Bill says, "Dutch wanted you dead. We all did." Well, with that, John kills Bill as Reyes takes out Allende. We don't get the option to take Bill in alive. And I find that to be interesting, because we get that option with Javier. Why not Bill? Is it just because of what John said to Bonnie about now he's going after him the less kind way? Is this just because Bill shot him first?
My thought was that maybe it was to make the player emotional. That was my first reaction. But I think the choice to shoot him is the better option, because John at this point knows how tricky Bill is, that it took him literally this long, and so John's not taking chances.
Got a couple so longs here. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of discussion about these two. I say we just do them at the same time.
Yeah.
Bill and Allende. First of all, Bill has a shit name. William Williamson.
Yeah. Definitely mother for that alone. No shame.
I apologize to all the William Williamsons out there. I'm sure you're nice.
There's no redeeming quality in either of them.
Not at all. Mother for both. They're gross. They're inbred, apparently. So long. We're then back in Escalera, parting ways with Abraham. John brings up Louisa, and he still doesn't know who she is.
No. I wish John shot him.
I do wish he shot him, but I do appreciate the annoyed / disgusted look that he has on his face when Reyes. Like, he can't even look at Reyes anymore. I'm not sad to be parting ways.
I'm glad we're leaving this whole Mexico Revolution scene because it was getting too much, and I was getting too frustrated with the characters using John, and I was getting irritated at people like Reyes.
I agree. I don't hate it as much as some people do, but it's not great. John travels to Blackwater, having an incident with his horse along the way.
Oh my god, Leah.
Okay, out of the goodness of my heart, I decided to help this lady that was being kidnapped. And at some point, my horse just decides I'm going to go wade in the water. I whistle it because, fun fact for you, Kathy. This is a good piece of lore about this game. John cannot swim.
What?
As soon as he gets in water, like knee high, he just dies immediately.
Really?
Yes. So I cannot go in the water to get the horse. That's too big a risk. So I whistle for it to summon it. It takes a couple steps, falls deeper into the water, does not get back up ever.
The horse doesn't
Gone.
even try.
It
And
does.
I don't know how was high tide? Is this like a sneaker wave coming in and getting the horse, or I'm just so
No, it's
confused.
just stupid. It's just dumb. I should have just let that lady get kidnapped. But... So anyway, then John steals a horse and later finds a better one. John arrives at Edgar Ross's office and immediately questions Fordham, his partner, about his family. Fordham responds,
Being well looked after. Well looked after.
Why'd he say it like that?
Now he's starting to sound like Alendis and Reyes and rapist. Like, ugh.
That's kind of the vibe I was picking up. But I think you're gonna like how upset John gets in this scene. He feels that they're playing games, and at this point Ross finally shows up and threatens John with all the games they could play. He says basically they could hang him, they could throw him in prison, they could take his farm. The deal is his freedom for all the men from his old gang, and they still need Vanderland. But they know where he is. Why did John get into the car like that? Let me find it. Watch the way John steps into the car. Why did he do that?
Whoever they animated it from doesn't know how to walk.
He like skipped into the car. Or like he thought there was another step there and there wasn't. I don't know, but it made me laugh. So anyway, in the car now, the three of them head out to the boat wreck where Dutch is supposed to be. Things get a little heated in the car.
Unfortunately, Mr. Marston isn't broad-minded enough to appreciate the unique opportunity we're offering him.
Son of a whore.
You best watch your damn mouth.
And it's strange you should say that, Mr. Marston, because according to my files, you are the whore's son. Now, what else can I recall from the files? Oh, let's see. You killed hundreds of innocent people. You've robbed at least 40 banks that we're aware of.
They told us there was a prize when you got to 50.
Yeah, that one.
I love Sassy John so much. Continuing on that same conversation, Ross says, the life you lived, you don't just walk away from that, buy a few chickens, and make it all disappear. We're giving you a chance at redemption. I hate to say it, but he kind of has a point.
I can't disagree. I don't like how they're doing this under duress, but it could possibly be a win-win situation for both of them if this works out well.
As much as we hate these agents, they're saying some things that do kind of make sense. John is not an innocent person. They arrive at the wreck of the Serendipity, where John and Fordham investigate to find nobody's there except for their informant, Nostos, tied up. Nostos warns them that it's a trap, and weak butt Fordham makes John carry Nostos as they're getting shot at all the way back to the car. Soon the car breaks down. They're sitting ducks while Fordham tries to get it started again. Dutch's men launch an attack, and Edgar Ross goes, "Oh my good God!" And that's just the most proper exclamation that I've ever heard in my life. So
I'm gonna
I
start
had to highlight it.
Using that in my vocab. Oh my good God.
Someone jumps out at you. Oh my good God. Like, you just have to. Anyway, they fight off Dutch's men and continue on to Blackwater, where they take Nostos to a Professor MacDougal because he can communicate with them, and as Ross puts it, I just can't communicate with them.
And he's like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I can't remember what he was saying, but he was just speaking slowly, loudly, disrespectfully.
I do love, because, he does say something like, do you understand? Do you speak English to Nostos? And Fordham goes, yes, sir, he's our informant, and, like, kind of laughs a little bit. Like, he even knows how ridiculous it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then after this cutscene ends, John's on the sidewalk, and this NPC just spawns in underneath him, and then vanishes.
He entered John's body.
I know. You can see me pause and look around like, what? Did I just see a person?
I saw a ghost.
Last scene in the gameplay. John visits MacDougal the next morning. This might be one of the only times where my heritage was the butt of a racist of a racist encounter. Because, dude, okay, so he asks John if he's Norse, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm Norse. And then he goes on to talk about a possible case study and says, about John, a white man but with a savage spirit. And I'm feeling a little attacked right now.
He's saying you, Leah.
Apparently I have a savage spirit, Kathy.
I mean, you do have a resting Cillian Murphy face.
I do. I really do.
He really was sad that he couldn't split a syringe with John.
I know. He just holds out a syringe. Would you like to partake in some cocaine? There's plenty enough for two. And then he just shoots all of it into his arm. Like, how much are you on?
A lot. Too much.
Anything before Nostos arrives?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So he shows up. He's located Dutch and his new gang, primarily made up of, he says, young men from the reservation. So the three of them head out. I don't know why MacDougal is coming. As we're riding out to this location, we enter the forest, and MacDougal says, these trees are rather foreboding, and gets all uncomfortable. And John says, ain't you never seen trees before? What is this exchange?
I thought it was that MacDougal is high on something else besides cocaine.
Can someone who's done cocaine, can you explain this? Do you look at trees and they're foreboding if you're on cocaine? Someone help us, because we're too square to know what's happening here. MacDougal turns around because he doesn't want to climb up the mountain. Or so he says, maybe it's because of the trees. And he says, I don't have a head for heights, more of a head for highs. Don't try to make jokes like that, buddy. It's not funny. We are traversing a mine, and some guy jumps out at Nostos, and the noise he makes is comical. Why does he shriek like this?
That part creeped me out. That guy who jumped out had to have been on MacDougal's cocaine too.
I 100% thought it was Seth.
Oh, I thought so too.
Like, what is that? Gross,
It's creepy.
dude.
Like zombie-like too.
Oh, man. Okay, well, skipping ahead, we find a lookout above Dutch's camp. John steals the binoculars. I accidentally pushed the guy off the cliff, which maybe blew John's cover. But either way, Dutch does spot John and shoots the binoculars, which knocks John out. And he comes to back at MacDougal's. I guess Nostos, even though injured, brought him all the way down the mountain.
Unreasonable.
Amazing. John leaves while the other two get in a fight. I wish Nostos would just
Slap him.
kill that guy. So he heads straight to Ross's office, who has some intel on Dutch. It sounds like he's coming in town to go to the bank. I guess when Dutch goes to the bank, it's a big thing.
And how is no one questioning him what he's doing?
I think it's all part of Dutch's plan, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
They get into sniping positions on the roof. A shootout begins, Once most of the men have been taken down, Ross sends John, of course, and 2 other men to the bank to go get Dutch. Once they fight their way up to him, we see that Dutch and one of his men have some hostages. Now this is where John and Dutch talk for the first time in a long time.
This is where we learned that Abigail was part of the gang. It gives more context of why John is working so hard to be able to help maybe clear her faults and her troubles with the law.
And there will be a line later, I think in the next part, where Ross says something about, if we don't have you to track people down, the next person is your wife, because she knows everybody. So I think you're right. I think a big part of this is her involvement is also adding a little more danger to her as well. So yeah, about Abigail, we learn, well, Dutch says,
You want the girl, John? You always were the romantic sort. You know, gentlemen, this man here, oh, he married a whore. Used to ride with us. We all had her. Oh, but he married her. And you know that makes him a better man than us. He's a better man. Have the girl, John.
Easy, Dutch.
She's a parting gift from me.
and this is when he shoots her, pushes her towards John, and makes a run for it. First reactions to Dutch, I think, is where we need to go.
I want to shoot him. I mean, because we knew DeSanta more, I feel like he's a bad man. But if I knew him more, I would think he's worse than DeSanta.
Mm-hmm. This is our first encounter with this man.
And I already hate him. I feel bad for Abigail to have her business being dragged out like that and make her look like a whore. I feel bad for her.
I mean, technically,
huh?
She was a prostitute. So he's not just throwing that term out there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
Okay.
it's a good thing to say.
Yeah.
I'm just for your context.
She was?
She was a prostitute, yeah.
But still, I guess
Yeah.
you don't need to lure John in by dangling that piece of information for him to get more pissed and probably illogical. I hate the guy. So there's a whole chase scene, and then one of the guards is just the audacity to start blaming John.
Right?
That this is all his fault.
How?
If you're so great, you do it yourself. Don't ask John to do it.
John was at least trying to talk to him.
Yeah.
They were just standing there.
What were you doing?
What did you do? Right.
Exactly. And I'm glad John developed a backbone since leaving Mexico, and he defends himself. And then this is when we get sassy John, because he says, like, I should have just shot the girl myself. Well, I don't know if I'm paraphrasing, but that's pretty much what he's saying. And I love the sass. I love how he says it, because it drives the point home that he did his best. And in those circumstances, otherwise, this is what I could have done.
Right. He was thinking about the hostages in this situation. What would the police rather have him do? What you were saying? Just shoot her?
Yeah.
Just shoot through her head to shoot Dutch in the head? No. So they're riding after Dutch's men, arguing some more, as they do. There's an interesting line. John says, I'd kill you 100 times before Dutch if it was an option. So we know he's not terribly fond of Dutch at this point, but he seems to be holding on to some sort of respect for him. How are you feeling about that dynamic?
I don't know if it's respect, but I also don't know what it is.
There's so much history there that there's still some level of, I don't know what the word is, care, appreciation, loyalty. I don't know. They kill a bunch of his men, but Dutch is nowhere to be found, and that's the end of the gameplay. He is still missing. One more part left. How are you hoping this all ends?
Well, I don't know if the storyline is going to end in this game, because I know there's Red Dead Redemption 2, 3, 4, whatever numbers they go up to. Of course, I'm hoping he ends up with Abigail and Jack, but I wouldn't be surprised if He goes home and then he has like maybe 1 hour with Abigail before she was dying of something. And then Jack is dead and he's just unhappy for the rest of his life.
They poison the well at his ranch.
Yeah. I'm hoping that he gets his happily ever after, though.
As many bad things as he's done, he's trying to make up for it. So, yeah, he deserves some happiness. Anything else you want to get off your chest?
No, not quite yet, but I think it's time for a wrap because my brain is starting to shut down.
Same. No more Wednesdays. We've been recording for an hour and 20, which is like twice as long as we've been recording.
I know, and I jinxed it because I was like, it's fine if we record this late. We're usually pretty quick about it. And then, bam, hour and a half. We spent 20 minutes for Louisa and 10 minutes for our intro. 30 minutes right there.
Can we move Louisa to mother just for that?
Yeah, she screwed us over. Okay, Audacity on 1, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to send in any questions, comments, or game suggestions. You can find all our contact info on our website, replayreviewspod.com, or contact us directly through our site.
Did we completely miss something? Are we way off the mark? Or you just want us to take a deeper look at anything from the game? We'll tackle any topics you all want to hear in our season wrap-up episode.
We also have a Reddit where we discuss anything we're curious about. Go take a look and let us know what you're thinking. Our theme music is Condemned by Eggy Toast. They'll play you out, and we'll be back next week.